How do we break it? And before
through programs of this nature.
Okay.
It's simple. It's about exposure. It's about awareness. And we got to step it up. It's about volume and velocity. We can't write them off. They can be reached. Something that Lynn Byers, the young basketball player who died from an overdose of drugs, his mother said something, I believe, that all young people are reachable, teachable, and redeemable. And we must keep that in mind. Judge not according to appearances. They're reachable, they're teachable, and they're redeemable. What we have to do for those that we don't reach is go back to the drawing board and come back with a different strategy.
And the other thing that I wanted to bring up, you mentioned your mother earlier, and a lot of what's going on too is, I think, is prevention. Because a lot of these young men and young women are growing up in single-parent households. So we talked about the fact that, especially in the African-American community, 70% of African-American children are growing up in single-parent households.
It's higher than that. But there's a difference, though. I came up in a single-family household. My mother raised 7 children. However, she didn't do it by herself. She had other men that participated in that process that we call the village, okay? However, there's a difference, though. And the difference is the mothers are younger, and they also do drugs. That's the difference. That was the breakdown. Because when you have, I went to a center to speak to young mothers. When I got there, I could not speak. I lost it.
What happened?
Because I saw little girls 10 to 12 years old. They had 2 and 3 kids. You see a little girl 10 years old, body swollen with a baby, and the person who's head of the household saying, hey, they're grown now. They made grown decisions. They're women now. What are you talking about? 10 years old. I couldn't get my words out. These kids had to be victims of molestation or rape or incest. They're 10 years old. 12 years old with 2 and 3 kids. So it's a whole different situation, and we have to handle it, and we have to do awareness campaigns, we have to educate, and we have to change up our strategy, and everybody at all levels of our community have got to sound the alarm and become engaged in the process and move with a sense of urgency before it hits a critical mass and it's beyond our control.
Yeah, and you're talking about doing some programs with the prisons. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it is a program. See, I believe that when you look at 1 out of every 4 African American male ends up in jail, and that we have in many cases, in many cities, more African-American males in jail than we do in colleges and universities. That's a problem that we can reverse. Nobody's going to come in our community and stop that and reverse that. We can do that. We have a program that implemented within 5 years, we'll be able to reduce the dropout rate, increase the high school graduation rate and college graduation rate, reduce the teenage pregnancy rate, reduce the crime and the homicide that's taking place in our community because of the self-hatred. Helping our people to begin to understand that their lives have value. 94% of black men are killed by other black men. So there's a level of self-hatred that we're manifesting. When you begin to think about the words of Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who said, if you can determine what a man shall think, you never have to concern yourself with what he will do. He said, if you can make a man feel inferior, you never have to compel him to seek an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And if you can make a man feel justly an outcast, never have to order him to go to the back door. He'll go without being told. And if there's no door, his very nature will demand one. Well, this level of self-hatred, once self-hatred is put in place, it takes on a life of its own. We have to interrupt that. That's why I'm training and developing other speakers. That's why we produce the programs that we do, to, 1, give us a larger vision of ourselves beyond our circumstances and mental conditioning, 2, increase our sense of worthiness, where we come to believe that we deserve more out of life and stop sabotaging ourselves with drugs and other self-sabotaging activity, and 3, begin to decrease the level of unconscious self-hatred that causes us to kill each other and destroy our own community and destroy our possibilities of creating a brighter future for our children.
This is wonderful. Now, these programs that you're speaking of, there are probably some people that are watching right now that's saying, look, I don't have time for a program. I'm not even sure I can eat tomorrow. My house is in foreclosure. I lost my job, or I don't have a house, or I haven't paid my rent. I was at a conference on Saturday I was telling you about, Loving Our Single Mothers in Queens, New York. That conference, there were so many single women there, and many of them weren't that 10, 12-year-olds. These are like 20, 30-year-old women. They didn't have $10.
Yes.
They can't feed their children. They don't know where the next dollar is going to come from. If any of them are watching today, what would you say to them to help to start to make that change in their lives?
There are 3 reasons why people are stuck now. Number 1, they don't know what they have going for them. And number two, they don't know how to earn money with what they have going for them. And three, they don't know how to gain access to the people that will help them make a living with what they have going for them. Our process is, one, you've got to develop your mindset. Two, you've got to become an effective communicator. And three, you've got to be a part of a community of achievers. All of them have relationships. You got to look at your relationships and say, hey, what are these relationships doing to me? You got to change your mindset. Why? Because your best thinking has produced the results that you have in your life. If you look at your life right now, your best thinking produced that. Now, if you want to keep on reproducing that, keep on thinking the way that you're thinking. If you want something different, then you've got to be willing to work on yourself, because you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. And three, if you don't know how to communicate, and we can all learn, because all of us are born the same way, dumb, naked, and speechless. If we can learn to talk foolishness, we can also learn the language that allow you to begin to gain access to a new life. It's all teachable. It's about mindset, about strategic communication skills, and it's about being a part of a community of people that want something out of life. All of us have friends, and we have to begin to divorce ourselves from our party friends, talking about party with a purpose, all that kind of craziness, and be around people who are trying to develop themselves, who are growing themselves, who are reinventing themselves, who want something out of life.
Well, people are going to say, but you, Mr. Les Brown, that's easy for you to say. You hang out with, Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen and,
Yes.
Maya
and
Angelou.
All of us are born the same way, dumb, naked, and speechless. I wasn't born this way. I earned it. I created this Les Brown that you now see. I used to be Les Brown, the man of our town. LB Triple P. There were none before me. There will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only, young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. I put the P in party. What you talking about?
You put the P in party.
I put the P in it. Let the record show. Leave 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, where the party? All right. So I'm talking about what I know.
Yes.
I'm among the cooties and the cornbreads. I'm talking about what I know. Okay? Yeah. Come on. At some point in time, you got to die to who you are now to give birth to who you can become. And what most people are doing is suffering from poverty of the brain, as the young lady told us.
Yeah.
They're suffering from poverty of their ambition, of their imagination. They've stopped growing. They're stuck. I remember a young lady in Chicago. Every time I would go to Chicago, I would see her and her husband, and they were such a beautiful couple. And then I came there to Chicago one time. He's on one side of the room, she was on the other.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, man, why aren't you over there with your wife? He said, man, she left me because I don't have anything. And I went to her, and she said, I heard what he said. I didn't leave him because he didn't have anything. I left him because he didn't want anything.
Ooh.
Yeah, he didn't want to grow.
Wow.
He stopped growing.
Wow.
Suffering from arrested development.
Yeah.
And we have so many grown men. I'm in the airport, I see a grown man my age sagging pants below his butt with a washcloth hanging out the back pants, and his hat all crooked, and it got his earring. And he's 65 like me. Come on. Wait a minute, help me understand this. My barber cut my hair. He's 73. He ain't got no teeth, but he's sagging. You know what I mean? He got these big old pair of pants that Shaquille O'Neal could wear.
Oh my
goodness. And tennis shoes, looking like a clown. When you're in the airport and you see African American men coming through, the rest of the world looking at us, and we look like fools.
Oh my gosh.
We look like clowns to the rest of the world. The way you dress determines how you are dressed. I was standing in the airport, honestly, and this is my armor of impact. I hate suits.
Okay.
But I know this is my money suit. Right. my navy blue, my red.
President Obama wears that very,
when you give the State of the Union. So I'm standing at the airlines, right? And it's late. The flight is taking off late. And so I'm in coach. So there's one seat left in first class. White guy comes up with tattoos all over him, and it's his seat. And the lady gives him my coach ticket and gives him, she said, sir, you are late. And gave him this ticket for coach and said, sir, you may go on now. And gave me his first class ticket.
Oh my goodness.
Because of the way he was dressed. Okay? So what's happened in our community, just some basic, simple things that people don't take into account. That's why so many African American males end up in jail. Because when the police run in our community, they don't know who to arrest. Because they all
Everybody
looking the
looks
same. Yeah, absolutely.
And not looks the same features anymore the way we used to say it when we were younger, but looks the same as far as the dress.
Yes.
But let me ask you something.
If you dress like you just got out of jail, or on the way to jail, or you should be in jail, you can look for that. Now, doesn't mean that even when you
There's
dress
still
like I am,
problems,
you can
yes.
still get arrested.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay?